What if tonight is the hinge one quiet phone call that tilts a season, a window, a legacy? Picture the Crypto.com arena tunnel empty and humming, a single light on above a whiteboard where someone has sketched 3 circles, playmaking, size on the wing, closing lineups. There's tape on that board, torn off and stuck back on like someone couldn't wait for shoot-around to start. You can almost hear the marker squeak. One more two-way wing, and this thing goes from dangerous to inevitable. Some of you can feel it in your chest already. It's not a rumor as much as a pulse. Training camp is basically here. The West is a knife fight, and yet there's this calm in LA, the kind you get when the math starts to add up. Rotations that finally make sense. A defensive template you recognize from rings you've already seen. A closer who can take the toughest assignment and still hit the shot that rips out a rogue crowd's heart. I'm not saying it's done. I'm saying the breadcrumbs are too neat to ignore, because while everyone's been arguing about seeding and schedules, something else has been happening in plain sight. The Lakers aren't shopping for headlines. They're shopping for fit. Fit next to the league's most creative engine and the game's most experienced closer. Fit that travels in May. Fit that lets you win a Game 5 on the road when your legs are jelly, but your habits are steel. And when you squint at the board from the tunnel, the silhouette resolves. You know the type. You've seen him take bows and Junda hold that picture. Before we put a name to it, here's what I can promise in this video. We're going to break down why the front office is circling a specific prototype, how the cap chess actually works, what the rotation costs you on the back end, and why the timing right now, not January, matters more than it seems. We'll also hit the only question that matters in a LeBron, year 23, and a Luka prime. Does the piece raise your ceiling in a 7-game series against the teams you actually have to beat? If you rock with that level of detail, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Quick pitch stop, this is Lakers News Fan Report. If you live and breathe purple and gold, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and drop a wing me in the comments so we know you made it to the tunnel. We're doing daily board work all preseason, and you won't want to miss the tape we've got lined up. Let's set the stage without tipping the whole hand. The Lakers spent the summer filling real needs, not fantasy ones. They added a true 5 who lets the stars conserve energy and control the glass. And they brought in a backcourt tone setter who lives to organize, aggravate, and close possessions. You can see the blueprint. Put grown man infrastructure around the 2 maestros and let gravity do the rest. That wasn't me spitballing. That was the league office's own write-up, noting how DeAndre Ayton's size and Marcus Smart's edge plug holes this roster had last spring. The message? Strengthen the floor so the ceiling can rise. At the same time, the Lakers universe now orbits around one truth. Luka Donic is the engine. He's arrived in LA leaner, sharper, and more vocal, and the organization has pivoted accordingly. You saw it in how new arrivals talked about who called them and why they believe the project is real. This is the part where the league collectively gulps, the moment when the most creative scorer playmaker on earth shows, up in top shape with the best closer of a generation next to him. The question stopped being, have they done enough for LeBron? And became, have they done enough for Luka? That's not gossip. That's the NBA's own framing after this summer. And while the stars have been doing their part overseas, yes, the global stage has been reminding everyone what peak. Luka looks like the subtext that matters for LA is health and rhythm. The takeaway from the international run wasn't panic. It was reassurance about his availability, his burst, and his edge walking back into El Segundo. Multiple outlets have tracked the performances and the ebb and flow of Slovenia's run. The constant was that no 77 looks like a problem again, and the organization isn't hiding its optimism. So, why the urgency? Because the West didn't wait. Denver's continuity is a machine, OKC's length swallows space. And you know exactly what brutal switch everything units you'll have to solve in late rounds. That's where this prototype becomes non-negotiable. A 6'7", 6'8" defender who can check 1 through 3, and survive on 4 South. Hit the open 3, cut when LeBron strings out a pick and roll, and live at 25% usage without getting bored. You don't need another soloist. You need someone who harmonizes and closes. Now we can say it. Lead buzz indicates the Lakers are actively monitoring the Andrew Wiggins situation. Yes, that Andrew Wiggins, the 2022 championship accelerator, who now in Miami, fits the precise outline LA has sketched on that whiteboard. Multiple reports have moved in this direction as the summers matured. If the Heat pivot toward flexibility and float Wiggins, the Lakers would have interest at the right price. That isn't me tea leaf reading. That's source reporting in the last 72 hours. The phrasing has been careful, would have interest. For the right price, but the intent is loud. Two-way wing, championship reps, scalable offense. Let's translate the cap speak into basketball English. Wiggins' current number sits in the high 20s annually, with a player option ahead on the horizon. That's a serious commitment, but it's also exactly the salary tier that allows you to consolidate role players into one playoff-proof piece. The Heat, depending on how they start and how their books look around the first apron, could be motivated to listen rather than hang up. That's not a guarantee of availability. It's a window. And the Lakers have kept powder dry for a reason, including future first that every GM in the league covets simply because they're so far out. Do you throw the 2031 crown jewel on the table? Historically, Rob Pelinka has shown he'll sit on assets until the deal makes the banner math make sense. Basketball fit? Clean. Defensively, Wiggins gives J.J. Redick permission to keep coverages simple in the minutes that decide series. You can put him on the hottest wing, live with switches on secondary actions, and avoid compromising your base by sending constant help. Offensively, he doesn't need touches scripted for him. He runs to the corner, lifts on the strong side slot as Luka probes, screen slips with LeBron to punish cop locks, and hammers backdoor cuts whenever the tagger falls asleep. His best version in 2022 was a model of playoff humility rebound, defend, finish plays, and that's exactly what this roster needs in money time. That's not memory-washed nostalgia. It's the documented role that turned a good team into a parade. But deals like this are never one-way streets. What's the ask? Reports have floated frameworks that make Lakers fans wince. A starter-level forward, a blue-chip rookie, and at least one first. Painful? Absolutely. But the point of consolidating is that you raise your worst 5 minutes in a series, not your best 5. If Wiggins replaces your 8th man minutes and your shaky crunch time defender, you gain twice. If he lets LeBron take the second best assignment instead of the first for a 7-game stretch, that's preserving legs in their 40th year. If he buys Luka a possession off on defense without you hemorrhaging points, that's oxygen in the 4th. These are the margins that win June. Timing matters. Why strike before December? Because identity should be built in November, not borrowed in March. If you're adding a wing who's supposed to be out, therefore every one-stop possession in the playoffs, you want him learning your terminology, your decoy actions, your end-of-clock habits now. And if Miami delays, as some reporting suggests, waiting to see how their group opens, you still get the benefit of public posture. The league hears you're a buyer in this lane. Suddenly, other teams with similar profiles start calling you, not your rivals. Set your price, don't chase theirs. Let's drop into rotations for a minute, no jargon. A closing 5 with Luka, LeBron, Wiggins, Reeves, plus a big Ayton when you want size. Vanderbilt when you want chaos, or even smart in a 3-guard counter, gives you menus instead of excuses. You can switch 1 through -4 clean. You can hide virtually nobody. And you don't have to hunt for a third creator, because Reeves does that at a playoff level already. He just needs a bit more air to dribble into. Add Wiggins and the air appears. His corner gravity and 45 cut timing keep the weak side help honest. Now. The caution label, because we keep it grown on Lakers News Fan Report. Wiggins is not a cure-all. His shot can go quiet for a week. He's had stretches where his on-ball assertiveness drifts. You're betting on environment, role clarity, and the reality that playing next to generational engines tends to make your life simpler, not harder. You're also betting that the version we saw in 2022 is still in there, waiting for a team that needs exactly that silhouette. If the price tag creeps into both a beloved young wing and multiple unprotected firsts, you pause and breathe. Where does this leave LeBron? In a place that should make every Lakers fan smile. Month 23, year 40, and the organization is finally building a team that doesn't need him to be firemen and arsonists. The offseason moves already tilted in that direction. The wing piece finishes the thought. Meanwhile, he's made it crystal clear what he won't be doing after all this coaching from the sidelines isn't in his future, and honestly, that clarity helps. It keeps this season about now, not about a theoretical next career. The man is still an all-NBA level force who put up elite numbers at 39. He's here to compete, not to storyboard life in a suit and tie. And Luka, he's the conductor. The Euro campaign showed the engine purrs fine under pressure, even when teams load up with size and length. Health box checked. Rhythm box checked. The lesson for LA wasn't about point totals. It was about trust that you can build the roster you actually drew on that whiteboard, because the guy in the middle is all the way that dude. So, is this real? Here's the line between hype and honesty. There is real smoke that the Lakers would pounce on Wiggins at the right number. There is real logic that the Heat could evaluate their books and choices in the coming weeks. There is not, as of this taping, an agreement, an imminent call to the league office, or a signed and sealed anything. Signals suggest interest. The price point will decide the rest. That's the truth, and it's exciting enough on its own. My take card on the table. If the ask is a single first plus salary and a non-core young piece, I do it. Today, the window is open now, and wings that defend and finish win rounds. If the ask is two unprotecteds plus one of the guys you flat out need in your best five, I slow the card down. The beauty of this roster is you already raised your floor with Ayton and Smart. You don't have to panic by a ceiling. If Miami blinks and the number comes to you, move. If not, you can roll into the season with a top 8 that already makes sense, stack wins, and keep your assets hot for the deadline. That's not fence-sitting. That's how contenders stay contenders. And if this exact move doesn't happen, the principle still stands. The Lakers need one more trustworthy, switchable wing who can live in your closing five without needing oxygen from the ball. Wiggins checks the boxes. If he's not the one, find the player who does. Because with Luka handling the paint-to-perimeter orchestra and LeBron choosing when to puncture, the fastest way to a parade is 5 guys on the floor who don't have to think to get a stop. That's what this whole thing has been quietly building toward. You made it to the end, so now make it loud. If you're pro Wiggins at the right price, type right price in the comments. If you'd rather protect the 2031 first and hunt later, type hold the crown. I'll be in there with you pulling game film and trade math. This is Lakers News Fan Report. Subscribe, hit the bell, and buckle up. Because whether this smoke turns into fire or not, one thing's already clear. The board on the tunnel wall doesn't lie. One more piece, and this team stops asking questions and starts answering them. Note, everything you've heard here about the potential. Wiggins' pursuit is informed speculation, not a finalized deal. Reporting points to interest at the right price, and a watch and wait stands for Miami. I'm giving you the why and the how nada. Here we go.